Hello and welcome to Budget Consultants YouTube channel where we discuss construction costs and planning in Jamaica. If you're planning to build and want to understand construction costs, then this channel is for you. For some time now, I've been wanting to do a video related to building a house in Jamaica and the things to know. Because funny enough, I often go on YouTube and I'll type in building a house in Jamaica to see what options usually pop up. And when I look back at my content list, I notice I don't have a video with that kind of heading. So my video today will be around the topic. Now, one of the first things to know is that the construction market in Jamaica is not properly organized. Majority of different contractors work in different ways. Tradesmen works in different ways, and different industry professionals such as architects, engineers, quantity surveyors, and project managers have several different approaches to the same sector. Now, it is not expected that in anything in business that you're going to get everybody to be working in the same manner. But what usually happens in a sector that is properly organized is that you don't find a lot of points of errors and reasons for customers to doubt whether or not professionals know what they are doing. So that's one big note to take, is just that the market is not organized. If you get a document from one quantity surveyor compared to another quantity surveyor, many times they will be miles apart. It's the same thing with architects, engineers, and other professionals. Many of them actually do not have a path to success. So you as a customer have to have some means of checks and balances by which you are going to employ in the whole process. These checks and balances might not be very technical, but they have to be practical. In other words, if you're going to be my project manager, you are supposed to be able to establish a very healthy path by which I can actually get my work done. And likewise, you have to have referrals, people that can validate that you know what you're doing. Because the common excuse that you're going to find from both professionals and tradesmen and contractors is that they would like to use simple means of referencing. So, like, a person who is university educated would want you to look more at the fact that they have a degree than whether they have customers that can validate that they know what they're doing. And it's the same thing with tradesmen. Tradesmen will use the fact that they worked on a house that is finished properly to validate that they know about construction, when many times it's only a part of the construction they did on the project that they are making mention of. You will also have contractors who will use a similar method. So you have to hear many times from the customers. The referral part of the process is the most practical thing you can use to check whether or not people who say they can get the job done are actually being honest. Now, the second point that I want to go on is the fact that everybody will want to help you, but the help is usually deceptive. Persons want to help other persons with a lot of different intents. A few persons might have a genuine will to help you, but the majority of persons who are going to come up and say that they want to help, they actually have some type of deceptive plan in mind. It's either later on they're going to come back and ask you for favors and then try to point to the fact that they helped you when you were doing construction and you basically owe them a favor. Or another thing can be the fact that they want to hustle their way into the project, but they want to come in looking like they're innocent because, oh, I was helping you and now I'm charging you a price, and look how innocent I was. Now that I'm charging you, you don't want to pay me, and it's this kind of victimhood kind of behavior that makes you, the customer, feel like you owe the person that said that they were helping you an obligation. Now, this kind of method is very common amongst friends and family, especially family, because many times these are the people that are going to have continuous contact with the homeowner after the project is finished. So they will always be in the mood to say that sometime in the future they can have something to hold against a particular person. Now, the third point that I want to go on is that people are very dishonest when it comes on to construction related activities. And this does not only refer to contractors. Or in short, I can say people in Jamaica lie about construction from several different angles. It can be a neighbor sometimes, it can be a friend, it sometimes can be a family, it can be an architect, it can be an engineer, quantity surveyor. Everybody has a way of wiping out their arrogance or their wrongdoing with some type of lie that sees them as the victim and everybody else as the culprit. So the common lies which I always make reference to is the lie of commission, lie of omission, and the character lie. In terms of the lie of commission that is going to be commonly done by contractors and tradesmen. They are many times going to directly tell you things that they know is incorrect or they don't know. But they will do this on the basis that they don't want to come across as not knowing. So they are going to lie to you barefaced. Like a man will tell you a price to do something and he will tell you, say, yes, this is the price and me not going to charge no more. And then midway him say, oh, you know, me never think about this. In barefaced tell her from the beginning something that he knows is incorrect, but him want to work. So him have to tell us something to make you comfortable. It's a similar thing with other industry professionals. They ask a man who say he's an architect about construction related costs. Many times he doesn't know, but he will solicit information to you just because he want to get the work to do the drawing. So most of these lies that are going to come off commission, there's usually a common thing of conflict of interest at play. You can't be asking a man to undermine himself and tell you the truth if his only option of making a bread is you. Now in terms of lie of omission, that one is mostly common with customers, present or past customers who have engaged in construction-related activities. And it usually go like this. I hire a man to come do some work, me pay me money, and him come give me a low quality work. But what many times the person is omitting is that the person that he or she hired was not vetted to confirm that they could deliver work in good quality. So customers often like to leave out that part of the discussion. Same way they would say, me give a contractor my money, and the contractor rub up my money, and I done the project. You ask the question, what means of checks and balance did you do before hiring this contractor? You ask these questions, you find out that the customer who is making claim that they are the victim actually did not do any due diligence. But in terms of victim culture, people would rather to say that I am the victim versus holding themselves to account. Anytime you hear the bad things about construction, especially customers or past customers, there's usually a hidden truth that they're not going to put to the forefront. And they are going to give you this advice as if you're supposed to be scared, but they're not going to tell you what they did not do. Did you hire a professional to come and check the work? No, me did I look over the work myself. But how you look over the work, I have no experience in a construction. So how you going to know when the work are done wrong? If you only can physically see when the work is being done wrong, then you're going to miss out on a lot of technical check. And the moment you as a customer can see the work looking bad, that means it's extremely bad, because work can be done that is not up to quality, and you as a customer still can accept it as good, though industry professionals could check it and say there's a lot of flaws with it. So the approach of you waiting to see if the work comes out good is something that can backfire on you in a major way. Now, the final lie, as mentioned before, character lie, the one that I usually make reference to, where a person would see their neighbor of a certain profession building a house of a certain size and assume that it is their profession which is funding their project, and they would want to give you the impression that just like how they are doing it, you can do it just the same. That is a lie of character, because many of the persons are doing construction and their funding are not coming as straightforward and as clean as people want it to seem. Another point to make mention of when it comes on to things you should know is that material cost is more expensive than labor. If you are to get a completed project done from scratch and you are told that the cost of material and the cost of labor are similar, you have one of two problems. Is either the person cannot calculate the material properly, or the labor costs are woefully overpriced. Because I do experiment on several projects, and I've never seen where a completed project is done where the labor is anywhere near the material. So whenever a person is giving you information, I always check the cost variable between the material versus the labor. Material in most cases is going to be at minimum twice the cost of labor. My next point is sweet talk, and that is workman with sweet talk you if you get the work and leave it on you when it's spoiled. For many tradesmen, when they want a work, it's similar to when they want a woman. They will pull out all the tricks, they will tell you all the great things that can happen, but they know that they only have a bill that they want to pay, maybe at the end of the month. And when they tell you that they are going to do your project, it don't necessarily mean that they are committed towards the whole process. So a simple instance of this is that September morning I come up, children need to go back to school, and a man need to get some money if he can give him baby mother for do back to school shopping. You ask them about a project and they give you a price, but you negotiate down the price because you don't want to pay whatever they are charging. Now the man knows a back to school I come. He has no commitment to you. He has no contract. You're not even vetting him in detail. You're not asking for no referrals or anything. So you hear what him do? He knows that the work will cost you $1 million, but you are trying to tell him to do the work for 600,000. So him say, alright, me and my brethren them are going to do it at 600,000. But you have to come up with an initial 150,000 to start the process. No, nothing is wrong with mobilization, no. But the man don't have a contract. He don't have an obligation. So you come up with the 150 on the basis that you say you're saving 400,000. Man start the work, give him baby mother money if you go do back to school, work like 2 or 3 weeks, then he come back to you and say, yo bossy, I don't think so that money that can bother work, you know. Because no matter how me try, the man them this and the man, you go get a story. But him now give you back the money. And even if you want to beat him, broke all of him foot and all of him on them, the fact of the matter is that you now get back the money. Now he has fixed this problem, and the fact that he has started the work, whether him have the skills or not, there's something that has been done on your property, whether wrong or right. Worst case scenario is that he has identified that he's making a lot of errors when him start the work, and him finds it go cost him in the long run. So you know him do? Him just stop take a call. So he can take the loss of you giving him a bad name, because the average other customer that's going to come to him is also not going to do any checks and balances to his character. Now my next point is that there's no consistency in working with multiple contractors whenever you do a project. Because the moment you start work with one contractor and you plan to change, your price is going to go up. No matter how much the contractor will seem like him better than the next contractor, and regardless of how you go try to identify 1 and 2 rates, say it's cheaper than the first contractor, there's always going to be something that the new contractor is going to say that the old contractor did wrong. So the vetting process for getting contractors has to be very aggressive in terms of checks and balances, because whoever you start with, it works out better to finish with that person. The next point on this matter is that you have to look out for construction gimmicks. Gimmicks being, you're going to have people say them are contractors or builders or architects or whatever. They're always going to be displaying some small bits of work that they do. So you like see a tradesman and say him a lay 2 block, and he will do a video and he will put it on TikTok, and it seemed like he knew something about construction. But really and truly money maybe can lay some block. But you are going to get super excited because it look like the man can do some work. The same way you see a man and say he's a contractor and see him stand up and him a point, and you see him on a site a video himself at work, and you say to yourself that this man look like he knows what he's doing. But actually, maybe only can do just the rough part of the construction and point out a few basic things. You don't really have a checklist, because there's nobody who is actually coming to certify that most of the technical inputs that are supposed to be on the project are actually being displayed on the videos that you're seeing. Likewise, you go look on YouTube and go see a whole heap of people that tell about construction costs. But what they will always do is that they will pick off some small costs of construction, and like them give you some basic go-to. Like a person will say to you, say, you have to go shop around at the different hardwares and such. That is basic knowledge. Like everybody shop around whenever they are doing business. Shopping around is no rocket science when it comes on to construction. That is what people are going to do from the start. So like a person that's doing a video to say to you that you need to shop around, and these are the material prices that you need to check on. Like, it is pretty much a gimmick. Because if you are shopping around for material prices, you don't have material quantities, and you don't have a clear breakdown as to what you're going to be spending on. Just having a list of the major materials are not going to help you in any way. Because you'd have to compare now quality of material, distance from different hardwares, methods of hardware doing business. Because up to this day, there are certain hardwares that if you go to them, majority of the time, their card machines are not working. They're rather to deal in cash. You have to be inconvenienced to do business with them. So even if it's cheaper, it becomes a hassle to you in such a way where it comes off that it's still more expensive, because the amount of ups and downs that you're going to go through, it still is not beneficial. So as I said before, look out for the gimmicks. Whenever a man even tell you a price about construction, ask him to break it down. Don't lower the standard to be, oh yeah, because him work on house, me I will just take what him say. I don't even tell people to take what I say. That is people that I consult with. I don't even tell them to take what I say. I don't tell them to believe what I say. I tell them to look at the documentation that I present to you and see if I prove my case in a way that is clear and practical to you. Now, one of the other gimmicks that you're going to find is that there's this idea that if you get the unit rates for different aspects of the work, you're going to save some major amount of money. I have been trying to show that in several videos over and over. Just having a few rates is not going to be any major solution. It is always these small, simple-minded ideas that persons are going to present to you as the methods of managing your project and making it work out for you, which are actually not very creative or thoughtful methods. If these simple-minded ways of looking at construction-related activities were so consistent, you wouldn't have a whole university running a construction program. And even with the whole university running a construction program, with all type of professors and etc., you still have flaws in the sector. So why would simple-minded ideas outdo technical approaches towards construction? It is just because there are flaws in the market that gives the idea that these gimmicks of, oh, you get a few rates, oh, you get a manual A2 black, and these type of ways of looking at construction work seem practical. And my next point is that piece by piece, construction is more convenient to the average Jamaican, but it is not more cost effective. If a building is for $10 million and you have 3 out of the $10 million, you can put in that 3 and then use a certain amount of your salary over maybe a 2-year or a 3-year to complete that home by employing the piece by piece method. But you put in the work in small pieces doesn't mean that in the 2 or 3 years, you are going to get the work done at the same 10 million. You might be spending $11 to $12 million. It's just that it was more convenient for you on the basis that you were not immediately required to come up with all the money. So for persons who are of lower income, this is the easier way for them to approach a project. But like I said, it's not the cheaper way because everything is going to be split up in so many parts that your spending will always be above what the initial value of the project should have been. Another point to look at is that parish council only care about the structural works on your house, not the finishes. So I often bring up this when I mention the parish council, is that their checks and balances are relative to the structural aspect of your work. It's not around whether or not the house is going to be finished properly. It's a matter of if the house is looking like what was put on paper and the structural members are being put in place. That's why their checks and balances stop when you finish wet work, which is the rough part of the building. They don't do checks beyond that. They don't check electrical, they don't check plumbing, they don't check fine finishes. They don't go any further than the point of you doing the wet work. The next point is that having a report for construction-related activity that you cannot understand makes no sense at all. If I do a report for you and you can only identify a few different aspects of the work, you can break down material or labor and you are going to manage a project on your own, then you are being dishonest to your own self. You cannot be using a document that you cannot understand and then tell a person that you're managing a project. There's no sense in that because the only thing that is likely to happen is that you're going to make a lot of mistakes in terms of your purchasing and your payment of workmen, and then you're going to make it seem like the work is very stressful when it is not. The real reality is that you do not understand the document, and people need to be honest with themselves on this matter. If you don't know, just say you don't know. But this pretending to know is not helping anybody at all. The next point is that the word estimate in Jamaica actually has no level of substance. For anybody, contractors or tradesmen, when you ask them for a rough estimate, might as well you just didn't ask them for anything. Because no matter what you do, you cannot refer to what you ask them for as a rough estimate. If you ask a person for a project cost and them tell you say $20 million, in your mind, what you're thinking is this. If it ever go up, it maybe go up to 125 or 24. It might go up to 40. Double whatever I might tell you. So if it go up to 40, what's the relevant of you hearing that it was 20? It can't help you. Another point is that you are opening yourself to more physical harm by being friendly with all the workmen on your construction project. Now, for every project, what you want is an organization structure. You want to be nice to everybody. If you are going to your project, you want to seem very courteous and you want to be presented as well-mannered. So going in, telling everybody morning, afternoon, nothing is wrong with that. The problem on construction site is this. The idea of undermining is very, very strong. So you see, the moment all the workers feel like they have access to you as the homeowner, then there's going to be a fight on your project, but it might not be physical, but really and truly it is psychological. So you hear one person always pointing out the errors of another person on the basis that they want to take control of the work. And eventually, you might do away with one person who was actually working in your corner more than the other person who is pretending to be looking out for your best interest. And that person can end up causing you your life, because not everybody knows how to negotiate and accept negotiations based on their arrogance. A simple instance is this: you have a contractor and he's doing some work. Right? He hires some masons to do some work, and he is paying out a particular amount of money. You get involved in the process, and workmen are always going to say to you that whoever is superior to them is actually doing them some harm. So the mason comes to you directly and says the contractor is not dealing with him fair. So you fire the contractor. His claim might be true, his claim might be untrue. But you fire the contractor and now you're working with the mason. But the mason cannot measure up, say, rough cast and render, or the mason might not be able to deliver a properly finished wall that's beyond just the block work. We're talking up to the point of rough cast and render. He might need the supervision of somebody to point out the fact that certain part of the work is not done properly, and the cost of the work is valued at a particular amount of money. Now you, the customer, now start dealing with the mason. Do the block work for you, come off cheaper, but when you reach rough cast and render, his cost is inflated, and you now want to negotiate, or you want to tell him that, listen, you can't pay more than a certain amount of money for a certain work. Now, you and this workman are in direct contact. There's nothing between both of you. There's no mediator, there's no third party. He's directly doing business with you. So he's his own contractor based on the fact that you have put him in that position. If you want to force him to work at a price below what he thinks he's used to getting, or he things he should get, then you and the man can have a fight on your own project over something which is coming from his own arrogance. So it is not wise for you to just be going around dealing with all these workmen, because the average workman, even if you treat them like the best person on the construction site, has a need to be in charge. Now my final point is this: if you don't have an organization structure, you don't have checks and balances, you're likely to end up with a horrible project. And these checks and balances have to be done on paper. So if somebody is a friend or a family that's going to be looking out for your interest, they have to establish what they are looking for, what they are seeing, what they are checking. Because if their idea of checks and balances is just to go stand up and look over your work, trust me, might as well just get somebody who is way more expensive, pay your price, ask for your weekly or your monthly reports, and hold them to account, than to run your work in a way that seems like you got your money for free.